Captain Lee Minho stood on the bridge of the massive colony ship New Seoul and watched the stars through the giant viewing window. The ship had been traveling through space for 18 months, carrying 50,000 human settlers to their new home on planet Kepler 442c. Everyone on board was excited about starting fresh lives on a beautiful new world, far from Earth. The New Seoul was huge, like a floating city in space. It had living areas, shopping centers, schools, hospitals, and everything people needed for the long journey. Captain Lee was proud to command such an important mission. He had been chosen because he was one of the best space captains in the human fleet. His crew trusted him completely. Chief Engineer Park Ji-won was working at her station checking all the ship systems. She was a smart woman who knew every bolt and wire on the New Seoul. Nothing happened on the ship without her knowing about it. Communications Officer Kim Na-eon sat at her desk monitoring radio signals from across the galaxy. She loved her job because she got to hear messages from different worlds and star systems. Security Chief Choi Hyun-woo walked around the bridge making sure everything was safe. He was a big, strong man who had served in Earth military before joining the colony mission. The journey had been peaceful so far. The colonists spent their days learning about their new planet, reading books, playing games, and making friends. Everyone was happy and looking forward to landing on Kepler 442c in just 6 more months. The planet had oceans, forests, and perfect weather for human life. It would be paradise. Suddenly, the ship alarm started ringing loud and scary. Kim Na-eon looked at her screens with worry. Captain Lee quickly walked to her station. "What is happening?" he asked Kim. Na-eon pointed at her display screen. "Sir, we have multiple contacts appearing on long-range scanners. They just came out of hyperspace right in front of us." Captain Lee felt his heart beat faster. "Show me on the main screen," he ordered. The giant viewing screen changed to show space ahead of their ship. At first, Lee saw only stars, but then huge dark shapes began appearing like monsters coming out of the darkness. One alien ship appeared, then another, then 10, then 50. The alien fleet kept growing until over 200 massive warships blocked their path. The alien ships were ugly and scary looking. They had sharp edges and red lights that glowed like angry eyes. The ships were much bigger than the New Seoul, and they had weapons pointing at the human vessel. Captain Lee had never seen ships like these before. They looked designed for one thing, only war and destruction. Park Ji-won ran scans on the alien ships. "Sir, these vessels are heavily armed. They have plasma cannons, missile systems, and energy weapons. I have never seen technology like this before. The power readings are incredible. Each ship could destroy us easily." Security Chief Choi Hyun-woo moved closer to Captain Lee. "Sir, we should go to battle stations and prepare our defenses." Captain Lee nodded. "Yes, do it now. Alert all departments and tell the colonists to stay in their quarters until further notice." The bridge became busy as crew members prepared for possible danger. Everyone worked fast, but stayed calm, because Captain Lee had trained them well. Kim Na-eon continued watching her communications equipment, waiting for any message from the alien fleet. Then it happened. Kim Na-eon suddenly looked up from her station. "With fear in her eyes, Captain. They are sending us a transmission. It is coming through on all frequencies. They want us to receive it. Put it on the main screen," Captain Lee ordered. His voice was steady, but inside he felt worried. The main viewing screen changed to show the face of an alien creature that made everyone on the bridge step backward in shock. The alien had gray skin and black eyes that looked like empty holes. Its face was long and thin, with sharp teeth showing when it spoke. The creature wore a dark uniform with strange symbols that probably showed its military rank. Behind the alien, other creatures could be seen working at control stations on their ship bridge. "I am Admiral Vex Tar of the Vorthak Empire," the alien said, in perfect human language that came from advanced translation computers. "You humans are now in Vorthak space, and you will obey our commands or face complete destruction." Captain Lee felt anger growing inside him, but he stayed calm and listened to what the alien had to say. The translator made Vextar voice sound cold and cruel, like someone who enjoyed hurting others. "Your pathetic little ship carries many humans," the alien continued. "We know about your colony mission and your plans to settle on the world you call Kepler 442c. This will not happen. because that world now belongs to the Vorthak Empire, Admiral. Vextar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. The Vorthak have conquered 47 star systems and enslaved dozens of alien species. We are the strongest military force in this part of the galaxy. No one can resist us, and no one ever has. Here are our demands, the alien said. 25,000 of your humans will be taken as slaves to work in our mining colonies on different worlds. They will dig precious metals and crystals for the Vorthak Empire until they die. You will also give us all your advanced technology, including your faster-than-light engines, your computers, and your weapons. The alien paused to let his words sink in before continuing. You will also pay tribute to the Vorthak Empire every year. This tribute will include rare metals, food supplies, and manufactured goods. If you agree to these terms, the remaining 25,000 humans will be allowed to live on a small moon in our territory. The moon has no water, no forests, and little air, but you will survive. Captain Lee felt his hands make fists as he listened to these terrible demands around him. His crew looked shocked and angry. The colonists had left Earth to find freedom and a better life. Now aliens wanted to make half of them slaves. Admiral Vextar was not finished talking. We are generous today. Usually we take all members of weak species as slaves, but humans are new to this part of space, so we offer you this choice. Slavery for half or death for all. The alien leaned forward toward the camera. You have exactly 24 of your Earth hours to decide. Refuse our generous offer, and we will destroy your ship and everyone on it. No human will survive, and your species will learn that the Vorthak Empire does not accept defiance to prove our power. Admiral Vextar continued. We will show you what happens to species that resist us. The screen changed to show different planets that looked burned and dead. Cities were destroyed. Forests were gone and oceans had dried up. These worlds once held billions of living beings, the alien said. Now they are empty because their people chose death over slavery. The transmission ended, and the bridge became very quiet. Captain Lee looked at his crew and saw fear, anger, and determination in their faces. Kim Naeon was shaking. Park Ji-won looked ready to fight, and Security Chief Choi Hyun-woo had his hand on his weapon, outside the viewing window. The alien fleet waited like hunting animals ready to attack. The red lights on their ships pulsed like heartbeats of death. 200 alien warships surrounded the New Sol, and 50,000 innocent human colonists. Captain Lee knew this was the most important moment in human history. What he decided in the next 24 hours would determine if humanity became slaves or remained free. The aliens thought humans would surrender, like all the other species they had conquered. But Admiral Vextar and his Vorthak Empire had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. They had threatened human families and tried to use fear to control people who had never learned how to bow to tyrants. The aliens were about to discover what happened when someone threatened humans with terrorism. Captain Lee Min-ho walked quickly through the corridors of the New Sol after the alien transmission ended. The ship felt different now. Like everyone could sense the danger outside, colonists looked out their windows at the threatening alien fleet and whispered to each other with worried voices. Children asked their parents what was happening and why so many scary ships surrounded them. Lee called an emergency meeting in the main conference room. This room was usually used for colony planning, sessions, and happy celebrations, but today it would decide the fate of humanity. The captain sent messages to all the important leaders on the ship, telling them to come immediately. This was not a request. It was an order. Colony Director Han Soo-jin arrived first. She was a strong woman who spoke for all 50,000 colonists on the ship. Han had been elected by the people because they trusted her to make good decisions for everyone. She had left a comfortable life on Earth to help build humanity new home among the stars. Now she faced the worst crisis in human space. History Dr. Yang Tae-hyung came next, carrying his computer tablet full of information about alien technology and galactic politics. He was the smartest person on the ship and knew more about space science than almost anyone. Dr. Yang had studied every alien species humans had ever met, but he had never heard of the Vorthak Empire before today. Commander Bae Suzy entered the room wearing her military uniform. She was in charge of the colonial defense forces which were supposed to protect the settlers from wild animals and natural disasters on their new planet. Nobody expected they would need to fight a war against alien terrorists. Commander Bay had trained every adult colonist in basic military skills because humans always prepared for the worst. Security Chief Choi Hyun-woo joined them along with Chief Engineer Park Ji-won and Communications Officer Kim Na-yeon. The conference room had a big table with chairs around it, but nobody wanted to sit down. Everyone was too worried and angry to stay still. Captain Lee activated the holographic display system, and the room filled with three-dimensional images of the alien fleet. The Vorthak ships looked even more frightening when seen up close. Their weapons were bigger than most human buildings, and each ship carried enough firepower to destroy entire cities. We all heard the alien demands, Captain Lee said, looking at each person in the room. They want half our people as slaves and all our technology. They think we will surrender like other species did. Han Sujin spoke up immediately, representing the voice of every colonist on the ship. I have already talked to families throughout the ship, she said. Her voice was calm but determined. Every person I spoke with gave me the same answer. They would rather die free than live as slaves. Our children should not grow up in chains working in alien mines until they die. We came to space to build something better, not to bow down to tyrants. Dr. Yang looked at his tablet and shared what he had learned about the Vorthak Empire. I have been studying their previous conquests, he said. The aliens always use the same strategy. They threaten overwhelming force and give species a choice between slavery and death. Most civilizations choose slavery because they think survival is more important than freedom. But humans are different. Dr. Yang continued, looking excited despite the danger. Every other species in the galaxy evolved on peaceful worlds where war was rare. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other on Earth. We learned lessons that peaceful species never had to learn. We know that sometimes you must fight for what is right. Even when the odds are bad, Commander Bay Suzy nodded and added important information. Every human colony ship carries military equipment hidden in secret compartments. She said, the government on Earth knew we might meet hostile aliens someday, so they made sure every settlement could defend itself. We are not helpless civilians like the aliens. Think Chief Engineer Park Ji-won smiled for the first time since the crisis began. Our ship has capabilities that are not in any official records, she said. The new Soul looks like a peaceful transport vessel, but it can become something very different if needed. The fusion reactors can be overcharged to military power levels. We have weapon systems disguised as mining equipment, and our hull armor is much stronger than it appears. Captain Lee felt proud of his crew and the human colonists. Everyone was scared, but nobody talked about giving up. Instead, they were planning how to fight back against impossible odds. This was what made humans special. In the galaxy, they did not surrender to bullies no matter how strong the enemy seemed. Security Chief Choi walked to the viewing window and looked out at the alien fleet. Sir, every adult colonist has completed military training as required by colonial regulations, he said. We have 15,000 people who can fight, including crew members. The aliens think they are threatening defenseless settlers, but they are actually facing trained human warriors. Han Sujin asked the question everyone was thinking. What message should we send back to the aliens? Do we try to negotiate for better terms or ask for more time? Captain Lee looked around the room at the faces of his friends and fellow humans. He saw determination, courage, and something else that aliens could never understand. He saw people who would never accept slavery. The captain made his decision. I will record our response. Now, he said, Kim Na-yeon prepared a broadcast on all frequencies. I want every alien ship in this area to hear what humans think about terrorism. The communications officer quickly set up her equipment while everyone else watched. Captain Lee stood in front of the camera and looked directly into the lens. His voice was steady and strong when he began speaking. This is Captain Lee Minho of the human vessel New Soul, representing 50,000 human colonists and the people of Earth. We have received the demands of the Vorthak Empire, and we have discussed our response. He paused for a moment to let his words reach across space to the alien fleet. Our answer is simple and clear. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not bow to tyrants who threaten innocent families. You demand that we choose between slavery and death. But you have forgotten. There is a third choice. Captain Lee stepped closer to the camera and his voice became harder. We choose to fight. You think humans are weak because we seek peace, but you are wrong. Peace is not weakness. It is a choice we make when we are strong enough to choose it. But when someone threatens our children and tries to make slaves of free people, we remember who we really are. We are the species that conquered our own world through 10,000 years of warfare. The captain continued. We are the people who turned our swords into spaceships and our shields into colonies. We came to space not as conquerors but as builders. However, we never forgot how to be warriors when warriors are needed. Captain Lee looked directly at the camera as if he could see Admiral Vex Tar watching. If you want a fight, you will get one. But know this, when humans go to war, we do not just seek victory. We make sure our enemies never threaten anyone ever again. Your empire has made the mistake of threatening human families now. You will learn why that was the worst decision in galactic history. The transmission ended and the conference room was quiet for a moment. Then Commander Bay Susie began to smile. Chief Engineer Park started laughing, and soon everyone was talking excitedly about battle preparations. They were still facing terrible odds against a much larger enemy fleet, but they felt something the aliens could never understand. They felt the pride of people who refused to surrender their freedom, no matter what the cost. Admiral Vex Tar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the human transmission with complete shock. In 200 years of conquest, no species had ever refused his demands. Every alien race chose slavery over death because they valued survival above everything else. But these humans were different, and it made him angry. The other Vorthak officers on the bridge looked confused and worried. They had never seen their admiral face defiance before. One young officer asked Admiral, "What do we do now? No species has ever said no to us before. Should we give them more time to think, Admiral Vex?" Tar turned with fury in his black eyes. "No," he shouted. "These pathetic humans think they can challenge the mighty Vorthak Empire. We will show them what happens to species that refuse our generous offers. Prepare the forward ships for demonstration attack. We will destroy part of their vessel to teach them respect." The admiral pointed at the human colony ship on his viewing screen. "Target their rear sections and destroy their engines. Then they will be helpless and will beg us to accept their surrender. We will make them watch as we kill a few thousand of their people. Then they will agree to our terms." But Admiral Vex Tar had made the biggest mistake of his military career. He thought humans were like other species who only built peaceful ships for exploration and colonization. The Vorthak had no idea that humans always prepared for the worst possible situations. Every human vessel carried secrets that would shock the galaxy on. The new Sol Captain Lee stood on the bridge and watched the alien ships moving into attack formation. Chief Engineer Park Ji-won worked quickly at her control station. "Sir, the forward alien vessels are charging their weapons. They are preparing to fire, Captain." Lee nodded calmly. "Attention all crew members, this is the Captain battle stations. Everyone to emergency positions. All colonists report to protected areas immediately. Park activate." Protocol 7 Chief Engineer Park smiled as she entered secret codes into her computer systems. Protocol 7 was the most classified program on human ships. It would transform their peaceful colony vessel into something the aliens never expected. "Sir, Protocol 7 is activated. All hidden systems are coming online." Suddenly, the new Sol began to change in ways that seemed impossible. Large sections of the ship hull moved aside, revealing thick armor plating that had been hidden inside. The colony ship now looked like a fortress in space, with weapons appearing from secret compartments that the aliens never knew existed. The maintenance bays opened and small fighter ships flew out. These were not rescue pods as they appeared, but military spacecraft with powerful engines and advanced weapons. Each fighter was piloted by colonists who had trained in secret during the long journey to Kepler. 442C Security. Chief Choi Hun-woo ran to the weapons control station. "Sir, all defensive systems are ready. Railgun batteries are loaded and charged. Plasma cannons are online. Nuclear missiles are armed and ready for launch. The aliens picked the wrong species to threaten." Admiral Vex Tar watched in horror as the human ship transformed before his eyes. What is happening, he demanded. How can a colony transport have military weapons? His tactical officer studied the readings and gave impossible news, Admiral. Their ship is now showing massive power signatures. The humans have been hiding military-grade fusion reactors. Their vessel has armor as thick as our battleships, and sir, they have weapons that match our heaviest cruisers. This is not a colony ship. It is a disguised warship. Before Admiral Vex Tar could respond, the human ship opened fire. The first shots came from railgun batteries that accelerated metal projectiles to incredible speeds. The kinetic energy weapons struck Vorthak ships with devastating force, punching through alien armor like it was paper. Communications officer Kim Naeon worked at her station coordinating the battle. Sir, I am detecting alien communications. They are panicking and asking for reinforcements. The enemy commander cannot understand how we have such powerful weapons. The plasma cannons fired, next sending streams of superheated matter that could melt through the strongest materials known to galactic science. The alien ships had never faced weapons like these because most species considered them too dangerous to build. But humans had learned to harness the power of stars themselves. Chief Engineer Park redirected power from life support systems to boost weapon output. Sir, I am overcharging the fusion reactors to military combat levels. We now have enough power to fight a fleet 3 times this size. The aliens have no idea what human engineering can accomplish. Commander Bay Suzy coordinated the fighter squadrons as they attacked alien vessels with precision strikes. Sir, our pilots are reporting successful hits on enemy engines and weapons. The aliens cannot match human pilot training. Their ships are too slow and their tactics are predictable. Dr. Yang studied the battle data from his science station. Captain, the alien technology is advanced, but their strategy is flawed. They rely on overwhelming numbers and intimidation. They have never learned to fight against enemies who refuse to surrender. The most terrifying moment came when Captain Lee authorized the use of nuclear weapons. Most galactic civilizations had banned such destructive devices long ago, considering them too horrible for civilized warfare. But humans remembered that sometimes you needed overwhelming force to stop evil. The nuclear missiles streaked through space toward the alien fleet. Each warhead carried enough explosive power to destroy entire cities. When they detonated, the explosions lit up space like new suns were being born. Vorthak ships vanished in balls of atomic fire that could be seen from distant star systems. Admiral Vex Tar watched his mighty fleet being destroyed by weapons he thought no species would ever use. How can they have nuclear weapons? He screamed. Those are forbidden by all galactic treaties. No civilized species builds such terrible things. His tactical officer gave him the truth that changed everything. Admiral, humans are not like other species. They never stopped being warriors. Even when they reached for the stars, they remembered the lessons of war. Their entire civilization is built on the idea that peace must be protected by strength. Within 30 minutes, the outer ring of Vorthak ships was completely destroyed. The aliens who had conquered dozens of star systems were being defeated by a single human colony vessel. The surviving alien ships tried to retreat, but human fighters chased them down with relentless determination. Captain Lee watched the battle with calm satisfaction. Security Chief Choi reported, "Sir, we have destroyed 60 alien vessels. The remaining ships are attempting to flee, but our fighters are pursuing them. The enemy fleet is in complete disorder." Chief Engineer Park looked at her power readings. "Captain, the ship systems are performing perfectly. All weapons are functioning at optimal levels. We can continue this battle for hours if needed." The aliens underestimated human technology and human determination. Han Sujin entered the bridge representing the colonists. "Captain," she said with pride in her voice, "the families throughout the ship are watching the battle. Everyone wanted me to tell you that they support your decision. We would rather fight for freedom than accept slavery." Admiral Vex Tar tried to rally his remaining ships, but his officers were too terrified to follow orders. They had never seen their mighty fleet defeated by what they thought was a helpless transport. The humans fought with skills and weapons that seemed impossible. The battle ended with the Vorthak fleet in ruins. Most of their ships were destroyed, and the survivors fled in panic back toward their home territory. Admiral Vex Tar escaped, but his reputation was shattered. He had been defeated by the species he thought was weakest. Captain Lee stood on his bridge and looked out at the debris field that had once been an alien fleet threatening his people. The new Sol had proven that humans would never surrender to terrorism, and that freedom was worth any price. The news of the battle traveled across the galaxy faster than anyone could have imagined. Within hours of the Vorthak fleet, destruction alien communication networks were buzzing with reports that seemed impossible to believe. A single human colony ship had defeated an entire Vorthak battle fleet that had conquered dozens of star systems on the water world of Aquanus. The fish-like cetacean people gathered around their communication centers to hear the incredible story. Elder Finn swimmer who had lived through 3 Vorthak invasions could not believe what he was hearing. The humans destroyed Admiral Vextar fleet with 1 ship, he said to his council. The same fleet that enslaved our people for 50 years was wiped out by creatures we never heard of before. The surviving Vorthak ships that escaped the battle carried tales of terror back to their home worlds. Captain Zar Thok, who commanded one of the few vessels that survived, tried to explain to Vorthak High Command what had happened. The humans have weapons that turn matter into energy, he reported. They launch nuclear fire that burns hotter than stars. They fight like demons who have no fear of death. Vorthak. Military intelligence could not accept these reports. Admiral Vextar commanded 200 of our best warships, an intelligence officer said. How could primitive aliens who just learned space travel defeat our mighty fleet? The human ship must have been helped by some unknown galactic power. But the evidence was overwhelming. The wreckage of Vorthak ships drifted through space where the battle happened. Alien news crews arrived to film the destruction and broadcast it across the galaxy. The debris field was so large, it would take years to clean up. Every piece of metal told the same story. Human weapons had torn through Vorthak armor like it was made of paper. On the crystal world of Siliconia, the rock-based mineral people held emergency meetings in their underground cities. Council leader Granite Hart had been fighting Vorthak oppression for decades without success. Now he saw hope for the first time. These humans have done what we could never do, he told his people. They stood up to the Vorthak and won. The recorded message from Captain Lee began playing on every alien communication network in the galaxy. His words, "We do not negotiate with terrorists," became the most famous phrase in galactic history. Oppressed species across dozens of worlds heard these words and felt something. They had forgotten the possibility of freedom. Dr. Yang received hundreds of messages from alien scientists who wanted to understand human military technology and philosophy. A message from the Andromedan Institute of Advanced Studies said, "We have studied your battle recordings. The weapons you used are far beyond what we thought possible. How did your species develop such advanced military science?" Dr. Yang sent back a simple explanation that shocked the galactic scientific community. Humans evolved on a world with constant warfare for thousands of years. While other species developed in peaceful environments, humans learned to fight from the moment they could walk. Every human child learns about strategy, tactics, and survival, because on Earth, only the strong survived. The Galactic Council called an emergency session to discuss what they were calling the human incident. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered on the neutral world of Diplomax to debate what the human victory meant for galactic politics. Chancellor Vorth of the Galactic Council was a wise old being who had seen many crises, but nothing like this. In 300 years of galactic civilization, no single ship has ever defeated a Vorthak fleet, he announced to the assembly. The humans have changed everything. We thought we knew about military power. Ambassador Krista from the Gemstone Worlds stood up to speak. The humans did not just win a battle. She said they showed every oppressed species in the galaxy that resistance is possible. For generations, we believed the Vorthak were too strong to fight. Now we know that courage and good weapons can defeat any tyrant. The news reached Earth through quantum communication networks that connected human colonies. Across Space Fleet, Admiral Kim Seojin at Earth Defense Command could not hide his pride when he heard the report from New Sol. Captain Lee and his crew performed exactly as their training demanded, he told the Earth government. Every human colony Ship carries the same capabilities because we always knew this day would come. On Earth, the human government began receiving messages from alien species asking for help. A delegation from the Feather World sent this message. The Vorthak have enslaved our people for 80 years. We have heard about your victory and we want to learn how to fight back. Will you teach us your ways? Commander Bay on the New Sol found herself promoted to military advisor for the entire human colonial fleet Earth. Command sent her new orders. Prepare training programs for alien species who want to learn human military tactics. The galaxy is about to change, and humans will lead the way. Communications Officer Kim Nyan monitored alien broadcasts from across the galaxy and reported amazing news to Captain Lee. Sir, I am receiving reports of rebellions on 12 different worlds that were under Vorthak control. The oppressed species are fighting back, using tactics similar to what we used in our battle. The Vorthak Empire found itself facing something it had never experienced before. Coordinated resistance across multiple star systems. The species they had conquered for generations were suddenly fighting back with new courage, inspired by the human. Example, Admiral Vextar tried to maintain control of his remaining forces, but his officers no longer respected him. The humans have made us look weak throughout the galaxy, one of his captains said. Our empire was built on fear and intimidation. Now, everyone knows we can be defeated. On the mining world of Excavan, the enslaved digger people heard about the human victory and began planning their own rebellion. Foreman Rockcrusher, who had been forced to work in Vorthak mines for 30 years, gathered his fellow workers. The humans showed us that freedom is possible. He said, now we must take our freedom back. The Vorthak tried to suppress news of their defeat, but the information spread too quickly. Every alien species in the galaxy learned that the supposedly invincible empire had been destroyed by a single human ship. The psychological impact was devastating to Vorthak authority. Captain Lee received a message from Earth promoting him to Fleet Admiral and giving him command of the new Human Defense Alliance. Your victory has inspired the galaxy, Admiral, the message said. Now you must help coordinate the liberation of every world under Vorthak control. Dr. Yang continued his research into alien civilizations and made a discovery that explained why humans were so different. Most galactic species evolved on worlds with abundant resources and few natural predators. He reported to the crew. Humans evolved on a world where everything wanted to kill them. This made them the ultimate survivors and warriors. The battle recordings were analyzed by military experts across the galaxy who reached the same conclusion. Human weapons and tactics were far more advanced than anything they had seen. The humans had turned their civilian transport into a weapon of war that could defeat entire fleets. On the forest world of Treehaven, the plant-based photosynthetic people began organizing resistance cells against their Vorthak oppressors. We have learned from the human example, said Root Leader Branch Walker. If they can fight back against impossible odds, then so can we. Colony Director Han Sujin received reports from human settlements throughout the galaxy. Every colony is requesting military upgrades and training, she told Captain Lee, now Fleet Admiral Lee. The humans across space want to be ready to help liberate the galaxy from tyranny. The legend of the New Sol battle grew with each telling. Some stories said the humans destroyed 1,000 alien ships. Others claimed they used weapons that could destroy entire planets. But the core truth remained the same. Humans had refused to surrender to terrorism and had won against impossible odds. The Vorthak High Command realized their empire was crumbling. Fear that had held their conquest together for centuries was gone, replaced by hope and determination among their former victims. The humans had not just won a battle, they had started a revolution that would change the galaxy forever. Fleet Admiral Lee Minho stood in the command center of Earth's newest battleship, the Liberator, and watched as freed alien worlds celebrated their independence across the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the battle at New Sol, and everything had changed. The Human Defense Alliance now included over 50 different species who had learned to fight for their freedom. The transformation had been incredible. What started as one colony ship refusing to surrender had become the largest liberation movement in galactic history. Human military advisors worked with alien resistance fighters on dozens of worlds, teaching them tactics that peaceful species had never imagined. Commander Bei Suzy now held the rank of general and commanded the Alliance training programs. Sir, she reported to Admiral Lee, we have successfully trained over 2 million alien fighters in human combat techniques. The cetacean water warriors have become experts at underwater attacks. The mineral people are using their tunneling abilities for surprise assaults in the photosynthetic plant. Beings have mastered forest warfare. Colony Director Han Sujin had been elected as the first human representative to the reformed Galactic Council. Her diplomatic skills helped unite species that had been enemies for centuries. The Vorthak Empire tried to divide our new alliance, she told Admiral Lee, but freedom creates stronger bonds than fear ever could. Dr. Yang continued studying alien civilizations and made discoveries that helped the war effort. The Vorthak military doctrine is based on intimidation and overwhelming force, he explained to the Alliance commanders. They have never learned to fight enemies who use guerrilla tactics because every species they conquered before surrendered quickly. The Vorthak Empire was crumbling faster than anyone expected. Rebellions erupted on every world they controlled, and their military could not fight everywhere at once. Admiral Vex Tar had been demoted and disgraced after losing his entire fleet to a single human ship. New Vorthak commanders tried different strategies, but they all failed against species who had learned human fighting methods. On the mining world of Excavan, the digger people had freed themselves using explosives they made from mining equipment. Foreman Rock Crusher sent a message to Admiral Lee. The humans taught us that freedom is worth any sacrifice. We destroyed the Vorthak facilities and drove their forces off our world. Our people are free. For the first time in 50 years, the water world of Aquanus declared independence after their cetacean warriors used submarine tactics, learned from human naval history. Elder Finn Swimmer reported to the Alliance. We sank every Vorthak ship in our oceans using torpedo attacks they never saw coming. The human military manuals you sent us were worth more than all the weapons in the galaxy, but the Vorthak were not finished yet. In desperation, they assembled their remaining fleets for one final, massive attack. They decided to strike at Earth itself, hoping to destroy humanity before their influence could spread further. Supreme Commander Krax, the new leader of Vorthak forces, believed that killing all humans would end the rebellion. The attack on Earth began with 3,000 Vorthak ships emerging from hyperspace around the human home system. It was the largest alien fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Supreme Commander Krax broadcast his ultimatum to Earth: Defense Command, surrender now, and we will only enslave your species. If you resist, we will burn your world to ash and hunt down every human in the galaxy. Admiral Lee received the emergency call from Earth, while his ship was helping liberate the crystal world of Siliconia. The Vorthak are attacking Earth with everything they have left Earth. Defense Command reported, sir. They have brought their entire remaining military force. This is their final desperate attempt to destroy humanity. Admiral Lee did not hesitate. All human ships return to Earth immediately, he ordered. The enemy thinks they can defeat us by threatening our home world. They are about to learn what happens when you attack a species that never learned how to quit. The journey back to Earth took 18 hours at maximum hyperspace speed. During the trip, Admiral Lee coordinated with defense forces throughout the solar system. Every human colony ship in space changed course toward Earth. Even civilian vessels prepared to join the battle because when humanity home was threatened, everyone became a warrior fleet admiral. Kim Seojin commanded Earth orbital defenses and had prepared for exactly this scenario. Sir, we have 800 human warships ready for battle, he reported to Admiral Lee. Every space station has been converted to military use, and we have deployed our most advanced weapons. The enemy outnumbers us 4-1, but we are fighting for our home. The Battle of Sol began when Vorthak forces tried to destroy Earth-Moon bases with long-range bombardment, but human defenses were ready with weapons the aliens had never seen before. Orbital plasma cannons that drew power directly from the sun fired streams of stellar energy across space. Kinetic bombardment platforms dropped tungsten rods that hit with the force of nuclear weapons. Chief Engineer Park Ji-won now served as technical coordinator for the entire human fleet. Sir, she reported to Admiral Lee, our new antimatter missiles are performing beyond expectations. Each Warhead can destroy multiple enemy ships and the Vorthak have no defense against them. The human fighters move through space like schools of deadly fish, using coordination tactics learned from centuries of warfare on Earth. Pilot Captain Joe Minsu led Squadron 7 in attacks that confused alien commanders. The Vorthak fly in formation like they are on parade, he reported. Our pilots use unpredictable patterns that make us impossible to target. Communications Officer Kim Naeon monitored alien broadcasts and heard panic in Vorthak transmissions. Admiral, the enemy is requesting reinforcements from across their empire, but there are no more ships available. Every Vorthak vessel that still exists is already here, fighting us. Dr. Yang analyzed battle data and made an important discovery. The Vorthak are using all their remaining resources in this attack, he told Admiral Lee. If we defeat them here, their empire will have no military left to control their conquered worlds. This battle will decide the fate of the entire galaxy. The fighting was fierce, but human tactics proved superior again. Nuclear mines hidden in asteroid fields destroyed entire Vorthak formations. Stealth ships appeared behind enemy lines to attack command vessels, and when Vorthak forces tried to retreat, they found human vessels blocking every escape route. Supreme Commander Krax watched his mighty fleet being destroyed by human defenders who fought with skills he could not understand. How can they coordinate so many ships without confusion, he demanded of his tactical officers. His aide gave him the truth that broke his spirit. Supreme Commander, humans have been fighting organized warfare for thousands of years. Every human learns military strategy from childhood. They think like a single organism when they fight together. This is why they are unbeatable. The battle ended with the complete destruction of the Vorthak fleet. Supreme Commander Krax was captured when his flagship was boarded by human Marines led by Security Chief Choi Hyun-woo. The alien commander could not understand how his empire had been defeated by a species that had only been in space for a few centuries. Admiral Lee stood on the bridge of the Liberator and watched the last Vorthak ships surrender. The enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was finished. Their military was destroyed, their empire was in ruins, and every world they had conquered was free. The liberation continued for months as human-led. Forces swept through former Vorthak territory colony. Director Han worked with newly freed species to establish democratic governments based on human principles of freedom and self-determination. The galaxy would never again bow to tyrants who demanded surrender through Fearfleet. Admiral Lee received reports from across space confirming that the Vorthak Empire was completely finished. Admiral Vex Tar had been found hiding on a remote asteroid and was brought to trial for his crimes against countless species. The Galactic Council passed new laws based on human philosophy. The most important was called the Lee Doctrine, which stated that no species would ever again be forced to negotiate with terrorists. Any government that used fear and intimidation to control others would face the combined military might of the free galaxy. Dr. Yang published his research about human military evolution, and it became required reading at every galactic university. His conclusion was simple. Humans became the greatest warriors in the galaxy, not because they loved war, but because they loved peace enough to fight for it. The new soul now served as a mobile embassy traveling between star systems to help former slave worlds build new societies. Captain Lee original crew had become legends throughout the galaxy. Their refusal to surrender to terrorism had sparked the greatest liberation in galactic history. On Earth, monuments were built to honor the human victory, but the most important memorial was not made of stone or metal. It was the simple phrase that had started everything. We do not negotiate with terrorists. These words were carved into the heart of galactic law, ensuring that future generations would never forget. The price of freedom. Admiral Lee stood on his ship bridge and looked out at the stars, knowing that millions of beings across the galaxy were free because humans had refused to bow to evil. The universe was safer now, and liberty had triumphed over tyranny.